Okay, we're going to do more transformations, but this time we're going to use a different base graph. Each of these here, A and B, they both have a square root in it. So we have to know the correct base formula. The base, our base graph is going to be this one. We're using y equals square root of x, that's our base formula, and here's the base graph. We have the key points that are labeled here, and again, this came from the previous section when we had that library of functions. Okay, so now let's use transformations. The first one, I don't have any negatives in there, so I'm not going to flip it any direction. Okay, but I do have to move it. I have to move the base graph 2 places. This time I have a -2, so you're going to move it opposite direction is negative, and so instead of in the negative direction, that would be to the left, you're actually going to move it 2 places to the right. So we're going to start by moving it 2 places over to the right, and then I have a -1 in the end. That's going to be the up and down movement, so I need to move this graph down 1 to right here. So that's going to be my new starting point. Now, because I have new key points here, let's notice what's happening. If I start from my beginning point, if I want to get to the next one, I go 1 to the right and I go up 1 because this is at 1, 1. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing over here. Here's my new starting point. My new starting point got shifted to here. What I want to do is go 1 to the right and up 1. So 1 to the right and then up 1 unit is going to give me the next point that's going to be right there. Again, that's using my key points here from that graph. Now, if I want to go over to the next one, what I do is I go from this point here, from 1, 1, I would go over 3 units and then up 1 unit to get to the 4, 2. Or from the very beginning, if I go all the way back to the beginning one again, I would go 4 this way and up 2. It doesn't really matter. So if you're starting from this point, you're going to go over 3, up 1. That's what I'll do to this point. So this is my second point, the one that we refer to 1, 1. I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3. And then it's going to go up 1 unit would be to here. And notice I could have started from this one and gone over 4 and up 2. I could have done that as well. Here is going to be the completed graph. So my x-intercept is going to cross at 3. Your y-intercept, we don't have any because it does not cross. It goes this direction, and so this is going to be none. So notice that we were able to take care of both of these without using any kind of algebra. We were able to use our key points completely to get the exact values for the x-intercept in this case. Let's do the same thing for this one. Now this one does have a negative sign in it, and it also has some shifting and some movement going on with this. Let's take care of the movement, the left and right and up and down movement. We'll do that first. Again, normally square root graphs will start here at 0, 0. This is your base graph that we're referring to. The new graph, I started from 0, 0, but I have a +1, which means we're going to move it to the left 1 unit. I have a -2, means it'll move down 2 units. So right here is my new starting point. 1 to the left and down 2, it starts right there. Okay, so I want to do the same thing. I want to use my key points again. Now in this case, instead of having it go up, the negative that's in front of here, what that does is it takes the whole graph and it flips it over the horizontal axis, which means it's going to look like this dotted line I'm drawing in here. It's going to actually be flipped down. It's going to go down like this. So from this point, instead of going to the right and up 1, instead, if I want to be on this dotted line, I'm going to go 1 to the right and down 1. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go 1 to the right and then down 1 unit would be right there. From that point, I would go, if I'm starting back at the original one, I'll start at the original one this time. You would go 4 to the right and then down 2 to get that point instead of going up 2. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go back to the starting point. I'm going to go, I have 1 here, 2, 3, 4. So I go over 4 and I'm going to go down 2, which means that it's going to be right here. So my graph is going to be opening down. It's going to look something like this. Okay, for x-intercepts, there's not going to be any. It doesn't cross it, it's opening down, so this is going to be none. Y-intercept. Okay, y-intercept is going to cross right here at -3. So here's my 2 graphs, and I have my intercepts complete. Part C. Another one that involves a square root. So we're going to use this base graph right here and our key points to graph this one. Now what's different about this one is that this is not written in the proper form. If you look at the rules for transformations, all of them start with positive x. So in this case the x does not come first, so I can't start shifting and moving it because I need to first put it into the proper form so I can use the transformation rule. So again, x has to come first. Okay, so how can I do that? Well, I need to first start by switching the position. So I'm going to do negative x plus 4 plus 2. So I'm going to start by doing that. Okay, well that's unfortunate. That's still not correct because I'm not going to move it 4 places to the left, and the reason why is because if you look at the rules inside transformations, we're not allowed to have a negative in front of the x. So how do we take care of that? We're going to factor out a negative from this one. So if we factor out a negative, we get negative x minus 4 on the inside plus 2. So this is the correct equation. It's written in the proper form. What we'll notice about this one is we're going to move this graph actually 4 places to the right, and then we're going to move it up 2 units. However, we have a negative inside, so we have a negative on the inside, so this is going to be like f of negative x. So we have 2 different things going on in this one. It's in the proper form right now, so what we're going to do is we're going to first start by going 4 places over to the right. Again, it's really important that you do the transformation after you factor out a negative. If there's a negative in front of the x, that's going to tell you that you have to do a factoring step. So if there's no negative, you don't need to worry about it, but there is a negative in front of the x, that's why we have to take it on the outside. So what's inside the parentheses, that becomes the x minus h rule that we have with transformations. 4 places over to the right. The plus 2, that didn't change. We're going to move it up 2 units, and it's going to be right here. Notice that our original graph looks like this. However, I have a negative on the inside. Now what a negative on the inside does is it's going to flip the graph over the vertical axis instead. So it's going to go this direction, which means the graph is actually going to have to go this direction, opening up to the left instead of the right. So how do I get to the next point? Well, normally I would go to the right and up 1, but because it's going to go this way, I'm going to go to the left and up 1. And I'm going to do that from my starting point. I'm going to go 1 to the left and up 1, which means I get a point right there at 3, 3. If I want to go to get to this one, I'm going to go, instead of going 4 places to the right and up 2, I'm going to go 4 places to the left and up 2. So from this starting point right here, I'm going to go 4 to the left and I'm going to go up 2 units, which means that it's going to cross right here on the y-axis. So the graph itself is going to look like this. It opens up to the left. The intercepts, x-intercept, none. Doesn't cross anywhere there. The y-intercept, it crosses at 4. So now we have our intercepts. The graph is going to be this one right here. The graph is opening up to the left.